Welcome to Nate Take. My name is Nathan. In today's video we're going to be looking at the Bestark 145 multi-process welding machine. Now this particular machine is a multi-process IGBT style welding machine from Bestark. It has a maximum output of 135 amps and it can do stick, it can do flux core, and it can do lift TIG welding. Now if you want to do a gas shielded MIG style welding, then you are going to have to buy a separate gas system, which Bestark does not sell, but that is a possibility. Bestark 145 uses a synergic control, which basically means that at the factory they programmed it so that you adjust your amps and it will automatically adjust the wired feed speed based on settings that they've come up with in their factory and determined to give you the best quality welds in most situations. So you can't really adjust the two separately, though they do have a micro adjustment that lets you change by ±3 either direction. The front of the machine features a digital control panel, has a screen on it, it's got one single knob to adjust those amps like we talked about, and then it has several buttons to change other settings on there, which you can see right here next to me. At the very bottom of the machine you have the negative and the positive ports where you can plug in your ground and then either your stick or your lift TIG accessories. The MIG torch is hardwired to the machine as it is not removable, but that is pretty standard for these budget models. Now the build of the machine is pretty decent. The top cover, which underneath is where the wire spool goes and that's where your feed controls and all that are. The top cover is attached using metal latches, one on either side, and it's got a good sturdy hinge on the back. When I first saw this machine, the pictures of it up on Amazon, I was a little concerned that that may not be the most sturdy build, but when I got it in person, they made it out of thick enough gauge metal that it works fine. Also under that top cover, they do include a wire feed button, so you can just use that to load the wire all the way up through your MIG gun. You don't have to hold down the trigger on the MIG gun. Now, as I mentioned, this machine is not set up to use a shielding gas. It is primarily designed as a flux core. It's not designed for MIG. However, you can make it work, but you'd have to get a third-party system, set that up with it, and your mileage may vary, and I'm not doing that, so I can't advise you on which one to get for this machine. Now, one thing I like about this machine, which you don't see on all of them, is that it takes up to 0.04 welding wire by default from the factory. It comes with the feed roller and everything you need for that. And actually, my machine came with a 2-pound roll of that wire in the box. For those of you who are not familiar, the 0.04 is a slightly larger. The standard sizes are 0.03 and 0.035, and so 0.04 is just a little bit larger, but what that does is it allows you to pump more amps and a little bit more material into the weld, which in theory will give you a better weld and deeper penetration. Now, of course, in today's video, I am using that roll of wire that came with the machine. I don't know if that's their brand that they actually make themselves, or if it's just another one that they white label with their branding on it. That's the one I'm using in these tests. Now, another thing to note before you purchase this is that this will only plug into a 110 volt outlet, standard wall outlet. It does not have the option to plug into a 220 outlet, which the couple of the Yes Welders that I've reviewed does. Now, if that's a problem, you may want to look at a different one. I did see on their website that they did have a very similar welder that had the option of either 110 or 220, so you might want to go for that one. I think it was a little bit more, but if you need it, it won't be that bad. All right, so we've gone over the basic features of this particular welder. Now, what did I actually think of using it? You'll see here on the screen that I'm playing footage of me using the machine, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I was actually pretty skeptical of this thing when Bestark first reached out to me and to see if I would be interested in reviewing it. I looked at their Amazon listing and I wasn't super impressed. It looked like just mass-produced knockoff garbage to me. Because it had native support for the 0.04 wire, that really is the thing that pushed me over the edge and was like, sure, go ahead and send it to me, because I'd never used that size wire before, hadn't had a machine that could take it. So, having said that, they sent it out to me, and I let it sit in my shop for a bit, because I was busy with another project, and then just a few days ago, I finally pulled it out and actually started using it. The project I'm using it on is a John boat trailer that I'm working on. It was a much larger bass boat trailer, and the bass boat itself was trash. It was a fiberglass hull that was falling apart. So I took the trailer and I cut it up, broke it down. Previously, I used a Yes Welder to do the majority of the actual structural welding on it, and cutting the frame down and welding it all back together and all that fun stuff. So today, all you're gonna see is I am putting a trailer jack on the front, welding it onto there, and then I'm also putting some guide posts up in the back so that when I go to trailer the boat, getting it out of the water, I can more easily see where the trailer is and get it on there. That's what I'm doing, and of course I do a couple other test welds as well, which we'll see those in a minute. While you're watching me set up the welder, I just wanted to note that I was pleasantly surprised pretty much as soon as I opened the box. Most budget welders, they don't come super well packed. They might have some styrofoam or something in there. This particular welder, it actually had much better packaging in my opinion. It had a very nice foam I don't know what kind it is, but I've seen them a lot on like computers or computer parts. That same type of spongy soft foam that's really nice. That was in there surrounding the whole machine, and the accessories themselves were actually packaged separately, and everything was in its own bag. It really seems like they don't want stuff to get damaged in shipping, which is really good. Nobody wants to open a box and have damaged equipment first thing. So I was very happy to see that. Now, being a budget lunchbox welder, how heavy is it? The welder comes in at only 13 pounds without the wire spool, which isn't too bad. It's pretty much in line with the other budget lunchbox welders of similar size and specs. But the one thing that this one does come with is a shoulder strap, which several of the other welders that I've reviewed do not include. I can understand why they don't include them, but on something like this, it's small, it's portable, it might be something you want to move around while you're welding. Let's say you're doing a long strip of weld, or you're doing several welds in a line. Just being able to walk and just have it hanging on your shoulder, and all that's dragging is your power cable going into the welder. That's a pretty nice feature. So that's nice. Will I use it? Probably not, but it's good that it's there. All right, so once I had the machine loaded up with the supplied wire that it came with, I went ahead and took it out to the trailer and started prepping to get the trailer jack on there. This particular spot that I'm welding, the trailer itself, it's a C-channel that's approximately 3/16 of an inch thick, and the plate that I'm welding to that is about 1/8 of an inch on the trailer jack. So for a lunchbox welder, I would consider that a pretty substantial weld. Now, like I mentioned, the majority of the welding on this trailer I did with my Welder 160 YWM. Has a higher amp output, so it had no problem welding this thicker material. I was a little skeptical, however, with this Best Arc to see how it would do. I wasn't super confident because it only outputs up to 135 amps, but I went ahead and decided this will be the perfect test for it. If it can do this, it'll be able to do a lot of other stuff as well. So took it out there, set it up, got everything set up, got myself set up, and went to work. I looked online to see what the specs of this machine, what the company advertises, how thick it can weld, and surprisingly it wasn't anywhere on the website. I didn't see it on the Amazon listing either. However, when you get the machine in hand, there's a chart on the top of the lid that's suggested settings, and on there, the highest it goes up to is 7 millimeters, which is just over 1/4 of an inch. So we can assume that they believe it'll weld up to 7 millimeter material, which is pretty thick for such a small welder. Now, I suspect that that might be chalked up to that extra thick welding wire, just because it can carry more amps and is more filler material being put into it, so they're able to get a little bit more thickness out of it than just a 0.035 or 0.30 is able to weld. Anyway, so I fired up the welder and I started welding. I tacked it in place 1 or 2 spots. Didn't need a whole lot of tacking because the wheel of it was actually already sitting on the ground, so I just needed to hold it against the trailer pretty much. And then I started to lay some beads. And I'm going to be honest, the first bead that I laid, which you'll see right here, I was surprised at how well it did. I had a little bit of a rough start there, but once I got that figured out, it was super duper smooth. This has got to be one of the smoothest beads I've ever laid on a brand new machine for sure. Normally it takes me just a minute or two to get the machine adjusted right where it needs to be for the particular material, but this one, it was absolutely perfect right away. Now, I will say, I did have the amp set at the highest output. I did not adjust it plus or minus 3, which you can do, but it was set to the highest amp output of 135. Now, naturally, I know what you guys are thinking. It was a good bead just because I'm such a master amateur welder. But I think it actually had more to do with that thickness of wire and the extra heat and everything that it is. It was just able to get in there and make a really nice weld. So after that first really nice bead, I went ahead and did the other side, got a second really nice bead. And one thing that I did notice, and I kind of expected this, is that with the thicker wire, I definitely did have to move a little bit slower when I was welding. I think that's why that first bead, initially, it was a little messed up. It's because muscle memory took over and I just was going at the normal speed that I would go on a thinner wire. So when I was like, wait a second, I need to slow down here, wait for the puddle to form, and then that's when I got those really, really sweet looking beads there. So it's safe to say I was impressed by the results right out of the box. At the same time, looking back at it though, these welders have been on the market for a long time now. There's a lot of options out there. So it wouldn't be too hard for companies to look at their competition and be like, these guys have this right and this right, let's see how they did it. And then just not copy, but as close to copy legally as they can what they did and produce a winning machine. So really there's no excuse for terrible machines nowadays. Now the MIG gun itself was very good. It was your standard MIG gun. It wasn't anything special, it wasn't anything terrible. It did the job and it did it well. I can imagine that these budget brands, for the most part, source from these same spots. Can't imagine that Best Arc is going to be making their very own MIG guns and stingers and ground clamps and Welder and all these others that are making the same budget machines are going to be making their own accessories as well. They're probably all pulling from the same few manufacturers that just make these accessories and just share with everybody. So that's what I think is going on here, because it really does feel the same as every other one I've ever used. Now, of course, I mention this every time I look at one of these welders, but the ground clamp to me is very important, because if you're not getting a good electrical connection, your weld's not going to work. All right. So, and this one, like I just mentioned about the MIG gun, it's the standard ground clamp. It works, it does its job, and it doesn't complain while it's doing it. It's got a good solid copper contacts, a nice copper ribbon connecting the two, and a good strong spring in the handle to keep it gripping tight onto your metal. And we're 3 for 3. The stick stinger is the same exact way. It's the same one that came with any of the other welders. If you were to take them all away from the machines they came with and hand them to me, I doubt I'd be able to tell the difference. All right, so I got that trailer jack welded up to the trailer. I was very happy with how it turned out. So I went ahead and got the angle iron I need to support the PVC guides that I'm putting on the back, so that I can get my boat back onto the trailer a little easier. Surprising how difficult it is to see a trailer when it's underwater in Florida, because our water looks like sweet tea. I just used some 1/8 inch angle iron, welded them at an angle using some brackets that were already in place on the trailer, and welded those in place so I can put PVC over those to act as the bumpers to help align the boat up when I'm putting it back on the trailer. Again, the welder did a fantastic job. I did some upside down welding, laying down, welding up, vertical, everything. It worked great. Now, I did have to back the amps down on the machine because the angle iron was just slightly thinner than the trailer jack I welded on the front there. So I got to mess with the amps a little bit, and it did fine. I think I bumped it down to like 90 amps or something like that, and it did perfectly. All right, so with the trailer test completed, I decided to go back into the shop and try to weld a couple of pieces together like this. So what I did there is I cut it down the middle and then beveled it to try to replicate a real world weld that you might do if you're a professional welder, which I am definitely not. If you look here, these are the welds that it produced. That's the one side, and this is the other side. Again, I am not a professional, so I did have to go to both sides. I know a true professional would have been able to do it all from one side and it would have looked way better. I don't see any undercut or porosity on that. Of course, I'm not going to go have this tested by a professional because that would be a waste of my time. I know for a fact that this will work for anything I ever need it to. I'm not going to go welding any steel structures for skyscrapers or anything anytime soon, so I don't need to get it checked like that. But, okay, next, I tried the stick. I'm not very good at stick welding. I've pretty much only done flux core, so these are pretty ugly, but see if that'll show right there. All right, those are the stick welds. It stuck the metal together. It had good heat penetration on the other side there. You can see where the heat marks came through the discoloration, and yeah, it's pretty ugly, but so am I, so it fits. All right, guys, so what are my conclusions? What do I actually think of this welder? Would I recommend it? I'm going to be honest with you, I would. I mean, it's not a bad welder. Now, my only concern, I forget exactly what they priced these at. I want to say it was 130 bucks. I'm slightly concerned about the quality of the components inside. Right now, it's producing good quality welds and it isn't struggling, but my previous experience with a welder in this price range, closest one I had anyway, was the Harbor Freight Titanium. It's a 125, and that machine broke on me 3 times before I switched over to a completely different brand. So I'm a little skeptical. I don't know how it's going to last in the long run. I'll just have to do more tests and make another video later and let you guys know how it holds up. But for now, assuming that it is actually durable and it's not going to break on you, I would recommend it based on what I'm seeing. It does good welds. It's very easy to use. It's light. It's portable. The only other thing I don't really like about it is the color. It's just, the color just doesn't really do it for me. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I may cover it. I might put a big Nate Take logo on the side to make it look nicer. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, maybe I'll paint it. Who knows? Yeah, so do I recommend it? Yes. Perfect for hobbyists, perfect for homeowners, perfect for stuff like that. I wouldn't try using it if you are a big industrial welder boy with your big truck rigs. I don't think this really has a place for you, but you already knew that. All right, guys, that's all I got for you today. If you guys liked the video, if you got anything useful out of it, please do hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see more like this. And until next time, this is Nathan, signing off.